The moment the bully's hand shoved him forward, everything seemed to slow down. The coffee cup in his hand slipped from his fingers, the sound of porcelain cracking against the floor echoed through the cafe, and dozens of eyes turned toward him. A single father, already carrying the weight of the world on his shoulders, had just been humiliated in front of the most powerful person in the room. But what happened next left everyone speechless. The man everyone thought was weak would soon prove that kindness, patience, and dignity could be stronger than cruelty. Before we begin this emotional journey, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of treating people with respect, make sure to like this video, share it with someone who needs a little hope today, leave a comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Tales for more inspiring stories. The cafe was usually a peaceful place during the early morning hours. Sunlight poured through the large glass windows, painting golden patterns across the wooden tables. The smell of fresh coffee filled the air, and the quiet sound of people starting their day created a sense of comfort. But that morning, something felt different. A man named Caelan Mercer walked through the door carrying a worn backpack, a small lunchbox, and the tired expression of someone who had not slept enough in years. He was 38 years old, a single father, and someone who had learned that life rarely gave people a fair chance. His son, 8-year-old Rowan, was waiting at home with his grandmother because Caelan had promised he would finish a few extra hours of work before picking him up. Every minute he spent away from his son was difficult, but every sacrifice was made for one reason: to give Rowan a better future. Caelan worked multiple jobs. During the day, he repaired office equipment. At night, he delivered food across the city. Some days, he barely had enough energy to unlock the door of his small apartment, but the moment Rowan ran into his arms and smiled, every hardship felt worth it. That morning, Caelan had one important reason for visiting the cafe. He had been invited to meet someone who could possibly offer him a better job opportunity. A company executive wanted to discuss a maintenance position, and Caelan saw it as a chance to finally escape the endless struggle. He arrived early, wearing the only formal shirt he owned. It was slightly faded, and the sleeves had been carefully repaired by hand, but he wore it proudly. He sat quietly near the corner, reviewing notes and preparing himself. That was when the trouble began. A young man named Braxton Vale entered the cafe with a group of co-workers. He was confident, expensive clothes, a loud voice, and the kind of attitude that made people move aside when he walked past. Braxton worked for the same company Caelan hoped to join. He had grown up believing that success gave him permission to look down on others. When he noticed Caelan sitting near the meeting area, he immediately frowned. "What are you doing here?" Braxton asked. Caelan looked up calmly. "I'm waiting for a meeting." Braxton laughed. "A meeting? Here?" The people around them started noticing the tension. Caelan tried to ignore him. He had learned that arguing with arrogant people rarely solved anything. He picked up his coffee and quietly moved his papers aside. But Braxton was not finished. "You know, people like you always surprise me," he said. "You show up in places you don't belong and expect people to take you seriously." Caelan looked at him, but he didn't respond. Years of struggle had taught him something important. Not every insult deserved an answer. Unfortunately, silence often made cruel people even more aggressive. Braxton stepped closer. "I'm talking to you." Caelan gently placed his cup down. "I heard you," he replied. "I just don't think disrespect deserves a conversation." The cafe became quiet. For the first time, Braxton looked uncomfortable. Then his pride took over. He reached forward and bumped Caelan's shoulder. It was not enough to knock him down. Not yet. But then, as Caelan turned away, Braxton pushed harder. Caelan lost his balance. His body fell forward, and his coffee cup flew from his hand. The glass shattered against the floor. His papers scattered everywhere. The entire cafe froze. Everyone saw it. The single father who had walked in hoping for a better future was now standing there embarrassed, surrounded by broken pieces. Some people looked away. Some whispered. But no one moved. Caelan slowly looked down at the mess. For a moment, his face showed pain. Not because of the fall. Because for a second, he felt like the world had confirmed his worst fear. That no matter how hard he worked, people would always see him as someone less important. Then he noticed something. A small photo had fallen from his wallet. It was a picture of Rowan smiling. Caelan picked it up carefully. And something inside him changed. He remembered the reason he kept fighting. He remembered the little boy who believed his father was the strongest person in the world. Caelan stood up. He didn't yell. He didn't insult Braxton. He simply looked at him with calm disappointment. That was unnecessary, Caelan said. Braxton smirked. What are you going to do about it? Before Caelan could answer, a voice came from across the room. That's enough. Everyone turned. A man in a dark suit had been sitting quietly at a table near the window. He had watched everything. His name was Alistair Voss, the CEO of the company Caelan was supposed to meet. The room became completely silent. Braxton's face changed instantly. Mr. Voss, I. But the CEO raised his hand. He looked at Caelan first. Are you all right? Caelan nodded. I'm fine. Alistair looked at the broken cup on the floor, then at Braxton. No, you're not fine. Someone just tried to embarrass you in front of everyone. Braxton quickly stepped forward. Sir, it was just a misunderstanding. Alistair's expression hardened. I have spent 20 years building a company, he said. And I've learned that a person's character is revealed by how they treat people who cannot offer them anything. Nobody spoke. Braxton looked down. Alistair turned back to Caelan. I was supposed to interview you today. Caelan looked surprised. You knew? The CEO nodded. I reviewed your application. I saw that you worked nights, raised your son alone, and still volunteered repairing equipment at a community center. Caelan lowered his eyes. It's nothing special. Alistair shook his head. That's exactly the kind of thing good people say. They don't realize how rare they are. The cafe remained silent as everyone listened. For years, Caelan had been invisible. He had worked hard while people ignored his struggles. He had smiled when he was exhausted. He had stayed kind when life had given him every reason to become bitter. And now, for the first time in a long time, someone saw him. Alistair offered him a seat. I don't want to continue this meeting because of what happened today, he said. I want to continue it because of who you showed yourself to be. Caelan sat down. The interview was not about degrees or perfect experience. It was about responsibility, honesty, and perseverance. After an hour, Alistair offered him the position. Not as a favor. Not because he felt sorry for him. Because Caelan earned it. When Caelan walked outside that afternoon, he stood on the sidewalk holding the job offer letter. The city moved around him, cars passing, people rushing, everyone chasing something. But for the first time in years, he felt like he was not just surviving. He was moving forward. When he reached home, Rowan ran to the door. Dad! You're back. Caelan smiled and lifted him into his arms. I have something to tell you. Rowan's eyes widened. Did you get the job? Caelan laughed. How did you know? Because I wished really hard. Caelan hugged him tightly. That night, while Rowan slept, Caelan sat quietly by the window. He thought about the morning. About the humiliation. About the moment he almost lost hope. But he also thought about something else. A single act of cruelty had revealed the hearts of many people. Some watched and did nothing. But one person chose to stand up. And sometimes, one person is enough to change everything. Months later, Caelan became one of the most respected employees at the company. Not because he was the smartest or the loudest, but because he treated everyone with the same kindness he wished the world had shown him. As for Braxton, he was forced to face the consequences of his actions. He lost the respect of his co-workers and eventually realized that confidence without compassion was nothing more than arrogance. One evening, Braxton approached Caelan. "I owe you an apology," he said. Caelan looked at him quietly. "I hurt you because I thought being successful made me better than others." Caelan nodded. Real success is not about standing above people. It's about how many people you help when you have the chance. Braxton never forgot those words. And neither did anyone who witnessed what happened in that cafe. Sometimes life tests people in the most painful ways. Sometimes the person who looks weakest is actually carrying the strongest heart. Caelan walked into that cafe as a tired single father who just wanted an opportunity. He walked out as a reminder that dignity cannot be taken by someone else. If this story touched your heart, please support this video by liking, sharing, and subscribing to Echoes of Tales. Your support helps more stories of kindness and hope reach people who need them. And before you leave, comment, "Kindness always wins," if you believe one good action can change someone's life. Because sometimes, the smallest moment of compassion can create the biggest change.